Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or and good evening, depending on where you're at in the world. Welcome, comic fans and Phantom fans. This is Ghost War 38, and today I'll be reviewing for you The Phantom Generations, Issue 5, Sherwood Jungle, written by Martin Gately and art by Enrique Alcatena. I hope I pronounced that right. The book takes place in the late 17th century, most notably the year 1640. And the story opens up with the Phantom, his love interest and bride, Juliet, who if you read any of the Frew books, you'd recognize that name from the Pirate Queen Captain Amazon story. And it does pay note to that book in the very first opening line. Uh, Here, the fifth man to wear the mask of the Phantom traversed the globe destroying piracy whenever he found it. On his travels, he met and fell in love with Juliet Adams, a woman better known as Captain Amazon, the Pirate Queen. Though Juliet had fallen into a life resembling piracy, she had harmed no one. After the Phantom destroyed the pirate stronghold on the Isle of Saba in the Caribbean, he and Juliet returned to Bengal to marry. But not long after their arrival home, disturbing news started to reach them of mass abductions from North African coastal villages by Barbary slavers under the command of the Dutch renegade Zeeman Dansker, known to his men as Captain Devil. Because of this dreadful cruelty, the pirate and Juliet resolved to smash the slaver fleet and have sailed Juliet's galleon, the Hippolyta, to the slaver fleet to the Mediterranean, where they were engaged in a hit-and-run war of attrition with their adversaries. So great has their success that both slavers and the Royal Navy believe the Hippolyta to be a spectral ship commanded by a she-demon, together with her avenging ghost companion, and crewed by the damned. And open up here on the very first page of the artwork, you'll see that the book is very different art style-wise compared to the previous 4 issues. And here's some of the pages here. He kind of looks like one of the Three Musketeers a little bit. That's the Phantom. And his guys is Kit Walker. And interestingly enough, unlike most of the other issues, this one contains an epilogue, whereas the others didn't. So now, setting that aside, opening this up here, and we shall commence. This is the fight between Captain Devil and his crew. Here, it starts on June 13th, 1640. The Phantom, Juliet, and her crew were destroying Captain Devil's ship, where they were overrun by the Royal Navy. Captain Devil cried to his men. And then Dansker's Lieutenant Teratos Birch. The Royal Navy cripples the Hippolyta, and Juliet is taken captive by Birch, Captain Devil's lieutenant. For 2 days and 2 nights, Juliet lay in Birch's cabin, the victim of a pitiless interrogation. To all his questions, she had but a single answer: "I am the bride of the ghost who walks. He exists only to bring destruction to pirates. He comes for you now, nothing can deliver you from his wrath. While their ship is being repaired, she is taken captive. Birch has nightmares, and he slowly loses his mind." From then on, the cold, stoical Birch took on the aspects of a hunted wolf. His mind began to unravel. To distract the Phantom, he threw Juliet overboard, so the Phantom dives in and goes after her. She was injured and sick, so they need to get her help and fast. He climbs aboard their ship to sabotage it, to stall him, but Birch had already fled to England by then, so he was long gone. And so the Phantom goes to England. He starts in London. The Phantom sets himself up with a disguise, and he eventually goes through travels. He makes a friend, a secretary of the Admiralty Board, Sir Christopher Gilbert. For my own reasons, I see that justice is done to the slaver Terratos Birch, but it is in everyone's best interest that so dangerous a man be caught and dealt with. Having dealt with Captain Devil and some of the other pirates, he wants to pay him, but Phantom says no. My dear fellow, the knowledge you seek is now common tattle among the city. And he tells the Phantom about a case that's been going on. They call it the Mill End Monster. That monster is revealed to be Birch because of his craziness and insanity. He started killing people. And so he's going to be locked up in the Cuckoo House after guards eventually found him and arrested him. So they go off to join up with the carriage and basically have business as usual. Only then when they get there, that the carriage has been overturned, ransacked, and all the guards are dead. The Phantom is then attacked by asylum guards who find out about the carriage, and thinking he's the one that caused it, they start opening fire on him. The Phantom is on the run, and he eventually makes it to the backyard and a cottage of a Colonel Haywood Rook, a retired army officer. He tells him of the events, of what transpired, and his search for Birch. Rook fixes and helps bandage some of the Phantom's injuries. Rook was a cartographer, and he also he works with medicines. The following morning, July 7th, he assumes his guise as Kit Walker and assumes a persona as a captain and a army buddy of Rook's. While they are out, they come across Sir John Grayville, the landowner and of the estates, the owner of all the land and estates hereabout. Ah, Rook, some devil's been in my menagerie, Sir John snapped. At first light, he was releasing creatures from their enclosures, leopards, tigers, even the great apes. We've stalked them all morning. My men just tried to net him any near enough. Had to go a-ripping their innards out, just managed to drive him off by shooting my matchlock at him. Without any need for instruction, Colonel Rook set to assisting the injured retainers. So, like I said, Birch has gone kind of insane. Sir John, I'm Captain Walker, and I know well indeed the man who did this. This is Terratos Birch, the mill-end monster and escaped murderer, and you would be wise to return to your manor and barricade yourself in. He's like, you jest, sir. I shall hunt for sport this murder of yours, and afterwards mount his head on my wall. Okay, he's a little confident. So this is interesting. So yeah. Meanwhile in all this, Birch is continuing to lose his lucidity and insanity. He is seeing the Phantom as more of a demon. They build traps to catch Birch, hopefully. And they end up coming across some more of the animals from his menagerie. Only then, but are they under Birch's control? He somehow has the ability to control them. Rook is injured in this fight, getting his shoulder and chest raked by the claws, and even the Phantom is injured as well. The Phantom left Rook bandaged at his place, and he basically memorized the maps and the layouts of Sherwood that Rook had made. Before first light, a series of terrible screams filled the forest. The Phantom loaded one of Rook's flintlocks for him and left it within easy reach of his bedside against the possibility that Birch invaded his home. With the first flicker of light, the hunt had begun. July 8th, he went to go investigate and found it was one of the traps that was had been tripped. Grayville's leg had been caught in one of the traps, and Grayville had his gun trained on Birch. There's a little bit of a scuffle between the Phantom and Birch, and meanwhile, after that had happened, Grayville had started to pull the trap apart to free his leg. Stay still, I will remove the cause of your agony. Keep clear of him. No, have you not yet staked your thirst for blood? Imposing himself between the Birch and the Phantom. And then Birch stabbed John once in the chest and went to go for a second time. The Phantom grabs Sir John's matchlock and fires, trying to destroy the dagger. He hits it, and the pommel breaks off the knife and hits him in the head, knocking him unconscious. John eventually succumbs to his injuries, and with his dying breaths, reveals to the Phantom that Birch was his grandson, Terence Grayville. Because of abuse and beatings by his father, that he had suffered as father, Terence his mind had slowly gone, and he turned bitter and evil, and went to a life of piracy. His brutal nature was magnified and his gentle side burned away. Every year, Sir John was the recipient of a letter signed Terratos Birch detailing his grandson's awful crimes. Terratos from the Greek for monster, and Birch for the instrument of punishment which he had been beaten in vain by his father. He had bribed the judge to recommend imprisonment in Carrington. It was John who sniped the coach horses and released Birch, but it was unexpected state of a wild, unrepentant degeneracy in which he found his grandson. Sir John's fantasy of a civilized house arrest for Birch was smashed. He ran off with the creatures, and he felt a strange kinship with them and to the big cats, many of which he had raised by hand as a child, so he was a prodigal son returned. Sir John died, and when Birch woke up, he was basically a new man. His Birch personality was gone. He was Terence again. So, yeah, that was interesting to find out. He had become, and according to this book, an exemplar of gentlemanly conduct. Colonel Rook provided the solution to his conundrum. Terence, as I'm going to refer to him now, would get his house arrest, but not in Grayville Manor. Rook knew of a desolate, ruined castle in the barren moors of Derbyshire. The Phantom bought the place and renamed it Skull Tor. Tor being the word for hill, so Skull Hill. If Birch's nature and personality ever returned, and if he escaped, it would be much easier to find him in a marsh and moorland than a forest. Grayville's family retainers set to refurbishing the place. They and Rook would be Birch's custodians and whatnot. The Phantom bade farewell to Birch, and apparently during that time frame after Julia's initial kidnapping, he had taken Juliet's wedding ring, so he basically took it back. And at the end of it all, he gives Rook the good mark, and he was informed that Juliet made a full recovery. So Juliet and Kit returned to Bengala, and on their way home, she informed Kit that she was going to have a child. It took a lot of convincing for Kit to be the name for the son. Since the prospective parents had elected to settle down, the Phantom scuttled the Hippolyta off the eastern side of the Isle of Eden, known to the band art of this day as Hippolyta Point, and on the cherished document shelf in the Skull Cave's major treasure room lies the Phantom's souvenir of this adventure. Colonel Rook's map of the secret pathways of Sherwood. Not that the Phantom was likely to forget the time when Sherwood Forest would become Sherwood Jungle. And so, yeah. And that's the end of the story. In the back, there's some ads. The Avenger, The Spider and Doc Savage, Domino Lady, and a couple other books. And so that is the end of the book. Personally, I liked it. I liked this art style a lot more out of the first 4 books. I'd have to say this is my new favorite. I'd have to say followed by issue 2, 1, 3 was alright. And 4, then 3. 3 was interesting. It's like they used photographs, but anyway, that's unrelated for this video. I hope you guys like this little look-see and review on issue 5. I look forward to covering issue 6 and the rest of the series. And until then, until that time comes, I will see you guys next time with another video. Be sure to do all those normal YouTube things. Click that like if you enjoyed this video. Comment below your favorite Phantom story. Had you ever read the Captain Amazon Pirate Queen Captain Amazon story? Let me know your thoughts on it. And until then, I will see you guys next time with another video. And be sure to turn your settings on to all. I did recently pick up some frew books, and I'll probably be reviewing those alongside this series and some of the others. But until then, take care, have a good rest of your day, and peace.